Hello everyone, this is Fazila Naushin and welcome to episode 3 of BracU Express presents Student to Faculty, where we learn and celebrate the stories of our teachers who were once students at this university and now have returned to join its teaching community. Today we have Tushar Ahmed Shishir sir with us, lecturer at the Biotechnology program of MNS department in BracU University. Tushar sir is not only a dedicated teacher but also a promising researcher. His interest lies mostly in bioinformatics, for which he has also recently been awarded a government grant and also recognized by BracU University's Quality Journal Award. Sir's expertise goes beyond classrooms as he also contributed to UNFPA as a lab consultant after graduation, and now he has returned to share the light of knowledge amongst the young students at his very own university. Today, we have gotten an opportunity to learn about Sir's inspiring story and trajectory of his journey. So, let's begin. Assalamu alaikum, sir. I hope you are having a really nice day. First of all, I would like to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to have this interview. So my first question to you would be, can you please share the experience of choosing BracU University for your undergrad studies and what inspired you to pursue pharmacy here?
Okay, fine. That's a nice question, I would say. So choosing BracU University was a deliberate decision, and in fact, this was a decision for my mother. My mother was a teacher back then. She retired a few years back, and then when she was teacher, she was exposed to community and she got to learn as BracU as NGO. BracU NGO has a worldwide reputation, so she thought BracU University would give me the ground to challenge me to explore my potentials. So she was deliberate. Okay, fine, you will join BracU University, nowhere else. And choosing BracU University was choosing pharmacy as a program. It was a combined decision from me and my family members, I would say, because I was always fond of like biology, chemistry, and mathematics, and physics was not my strong domain any days. So that was the combination. So I thought pharmacy would give me the ground to connect the biology, chemistry things. And then at that time I was got to learning about the computational biology. So I thought if I take this field, biological field, maybe I can connect biology, I can connect chemistry, I can connect math. So that was the decision for taking pharmacy as a whole.
Thank you. Moving on, I would like to ask the most anticipated question of this segment, which is, how is the feeling of returning to your alma mater, not just as an alumnus, but also as an educator?
Okay, fine. So this is the most heard question for me, I think. So every class I heard this question for asking me this. So I would say it's a fulfilling cycle, right? So I was student back here, then I joined as a faculty. So I was sitting at the opposite side of that hall room, right? So back then, so at that time, my full concentration was like absorbing knowledge from my teachers they're delivering, and mashallah, I got very well reputed faculties of that time for that specific field. Now returning at that specific classroom when I'm standing at the opposite side of the hall, so it creates some sort of pressure because now I'm delivering what I took back then, so I'm returning it. So it creates pressure like what my faculties did for me, I need to match that level. So it creates to some extent some pressure, but as I was the student of BracU University, so I know what BracU students want. So that insight gives him some extra advantages to be I would call better mentor maybe.
Thank you so much. And we have come to know that you completed your bachelor's in pharmacy but pursued a master's in biotech. So what inspired you to change the course of your higher education from what you studied in the undergrad?
Fine, as you say, change of course, but I do not see it like that. For me, it's evolution. So I have studied pharmacy. That is where I learned what we are applying, what drugs we are applying to the patient, and what those drugs are doing to them. That was the question, right? So that was applied science. Then when I was studying those things, there were courses like pharmacology and pharmaceutical biotechnology. Then I came to know detail about the biotechnical field, that what if we can change the biological codes that is actually causing the problems? What if we can completely change our biological system that no disease ever evolved? So that was the thing that motivated me to pursue my master's in the biotechnology field. So that is from what the drugs are doing to what if we change the course of the life. So that dragged me.
That's actually quite inspirational, especially me being a student right now pursuing biotech. So I really hope that I can apply that in my life as well. And I also wanted to congratulate you on being awarded a government research grant for your amazing research work on bioinformatics, and also the Quality Journal Publication Award from BracU. So can you please share the highlights and challenges that you face while balancing teaching and research at the same time?
Big fan. First of all, I would like to thank BracU University for giving me that research initiative award, and I was awarded a government fund for my work. It was regarding the plant biotechnology, plant bioinformatics, where we explored how the plants are becoming, how our plants are becoming sensitive to salts. So salt tolerance is one of the major problem in our coastal areas, right? So and sea levels are rising due to the global warming. So we need to come up with some solutions. So that is the site we explored. And then you were asking about the challenges and highlights. The main highlights of these things, I would say, is the synergistic effect of my teaching and research. So synergistic effect means I mean to say the things I'm gaining to learn through my researches, I can deliver them in my classes. And when I'm delivering those things in my classes, students are asking more questions. So that is driving me to explore more. So it's a completely cyclic process. I'm delivering something, students are asking a question. Based on that, I'm researching more. So it's a completely synergistic process. And about the challenges, it's not just for me. I would say it's a national-wide problem. That is, we have lack of resources. So we lack infrastructures, we lack fundings, and another important thing is we lack time. So we are taking lots of courses. So taking courses and doing research simultaneously is very difficult because at times we have back-to-back classes, and then we need to attend the meetings, we need to maintain collaborations, we need to come up with hypotheses. So it is very much draining. So there are some sort of challenges, I would say, I'm facing.
Thank you so much. We would love to know more about what sparked your interest in bioinformatics research, particularly, and how would you encourage your students to build the skill set to contribute more to this sector of biotech?
Okay, bioinformatics, of course, is not a very new field in this domain. But as I said, I was fond of mathematics from my very childhood. But since physics was not my domain, I didn't went to engineering. But love for math was always there. So I was trying to connect all these things. So that and bioinformatics gave me that right platform to work on, right? So I think from my point of view, the life is not encoded only in the genetic course. It's also we can decode it through the computers, through the computational course, right?
Yes.
So that actually motivated me how we can use this computational code to modify the genetic codes. And as you know, these days we are generating lots of bioinformatics, lots of genomics data. We are generating lots of proteomics data, that means protein structures. So we need to know how these sequences, they are changing over the times, and how these changes in codes actually changing the protein structure, and these protein molecules are actually driving the life force, right? So if we can explore this, we can maybe come up with some better ideas. For example, what Jennifer Doudna did, she changed the genetic codes and she won the Nobel Prize in 2020.
Yes.
Right? So that was actually my motivation to change life code with the computational code.
Thank you so much. Being a former student at BracU, what are the primary challenges that you faced while navigating through university life? And would you say that today's students are still facing them?
Okay, fine. It might sound funny, but since I was from previous campus, I would say our biggest challenge was attending class on time. So we had to run from this building to that building. So as you know, we had nearly 10 buildings maybe. So we had to run from this building to that building. So we were always late for our classes. So that was the main problem. But on a serious note, I would say the main problem, not only for BRAC University, all the university, is the transition from college life to university life. So in university life, we get an immense amount of independence, and students cannot take that load, so they misuse it. Another transition point is most of the students coming from the Bangla medium, then they fall into this English medium. So that creates kind of a pressure because they take times to adapt. During this adaptation process, they lose their grades, and they then just feels like imposter syndrome. That means they do not fit to this community. So I think in our national wide level, government should take some initiatives to overcome this issue. Okay. And another thing I would like to mention, that these days social media, right? So social media is very much accessible these days to the students, and that creates like a comparative platform. Like one student is uploading something, maybe their grades, maybe they're achieving some sort of certificates, that create pressures to another student. Like, I'm not doing anything, my friends are going ahead. So I would suggest to the students that you should compete with yourself. You are your only competitor, right? So if you compete with yourself, and if you make a better version of yourself every day, you will do great in future. You do not have to compete with other students what they're doing.
Thank you, sir. Those are really valuable words, and I hope all of those who are watching this video will try to imply that in their life as well. So with that said, being an aspiring researcher as well as a mentor, what advice would you give to your students who wish to pursue a career in academia or start research work in their undergrad, and how could they achieve that?
Okay, fine. It's completely, I would say the decision it should come from the students if they want to pursue this. But if someone does, first of all, they need to elaborate their knowledge. They need to learn, right? So if you are delivering something, if you want to come into academia, so you never know what your students will be asking in the classroom, right? So you always have to be prepared. You always have to have enough knowledge so that you can tackle any sorts of question. So first thing first, you need to study a lot. So do your study, not just textbook. You should study the recent research articles, the review articles, what sort of activities are going around the world in your domain, right? Then you should, of course, in our biological field, you of course will generate lots of data through your research, but you need to know how to analyze them. So you need to have problem solving skills and analytical skills. If you have lots of data but you do not know how to analyze them, how to look into those data, you will not be coming up with any kind of solution, not be coming up with any kind of novel findings. So I think you should work on that.
Definitely. And finally, what advice would you give to the students who are pursuing their undergrad in biological sciences, and what skill sets should they build up alongside CGPA?
Okay, fine. The first thing first, the CGPA is very important. CGPA is important. That doesn't mean you have to maintain 4 out of 4. So if you have a modest CGPA, that will work. And CGPA is just a part of your journey, and your journey should include more factors. Like, as I said earlier, you need to study a lot. So come up, you study the recent research articles, come up with research ideas they are talking about. Like, so if you study the discussion section of any research article, you will see they are leaving some sort of questions. Like we have done this, but we couldn't do this specific experiment. if we can do this, or if other research community can do this, we might find out something novel. So look for those unsolved questions. If you can look for those unsolved questions, one day you will come up with something, maybe novel findings. That is one thing. Another thing is you need to be analytical. You have to have problem solving skill. As I said, you need to look for a problem from different angles. So if you look for a problem from a single angle, you might not come up with some solution. And if you do not come up with some solution, you might say, okay, fine, this data set is completely useless. But another person who has analytical capacity, maybe that person will look from different angle and come up with something groundbreaking. So your data, another person coming up with something novel, but you just left those out. So this should not happen. Another thing I would like to mention, that our biological students or the students of life science domain, they are very much afraid of mathematical problems. But I think without mathematical knowledge, without mathematical in-depth analytical potentials, we cannot solve these sorts of large-scale data. Like we are generating lots of sequencing data, lots of proteomics data, but gathering data doesn't give you any sorts of informations we are looking for it. So we need to find out, or we need to be analytical to extract information from there. So let's say you have thousands of data, but you do not know how to solve them, but you need to apply mathematical skills there. So I would say, as I said, you need to work on your CGPA first, then you need to be creative, you need to extract information from the sources, and you need to apply analytical skills to solve those issues, right? So you are earning a degree at BracU University. That degree will open the door for you to the world, but the skill set you'll be developing here will build the foundation of a remarkable career. But you have to work through this. Okay.
Thank you so much for all the guidance.
Thank you
and
for inviting me.
We appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.